Welcome to the best gaming PC builds of the month for August 2020. Here's our most recent update to keep you up to date with regards to the highest and best performing hardware that is most up to date for building your gaming PCs. My name is Corey with noobcomputerbuild.com. We do these builds every single month in the following budget categories. We have the $1,500, $1,000, $700, and $500, which is a good breadth of types of builds for those of you building in different brackets. This should be inclusive of most gamers. With regards to a performance per budget ratio, these are all set up for maximizing performance at the budget. So going from the high end, the $1,500, meaning you can max out any game out there at 1080p and 1440p resolutions and play into 4K. And then as we go down, the $500 build would be more of that console killer, playing games at 1080p with might be scaled down in some games, and even some games you might be able to max out depending on what you play. But this is kind of the range why these budgets are set up the way they are. But let's get started. So if you're building a gaming PC this month, what should you build with a $1,500 gaming PC build? This build, again, as I said, high FPS resolution or high FPS set performance at high resolutions at 1080p and 1440p, and good gameplay into 4K. Should you want to push that further, there are hardware alternatives if you visit the site, and we lay those out there, or for more information on these builds altogether. But let's get started with the $1,500 gaming PC build for August 2020. The CPU we have this month is the AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. This has been in this build for several months now, and it is a great CPU for this budget range and a high-performing overall gaming CPU and also a multitasking CPU. So it's good CPU overall. At $279.99, and this comes with the stock AMD Wraith Prism cooler, which is a really cool RGB lit cooler that performs quite well even when overclocking the CPU. And that comes stock. Motherboard we have is the Asus TUF X570 Plus. This is the Wi-Fi edition version, so it does have Wi-Fi built in. Motherboard, this comes in at $189.99. The graphics card, the real performance driver of this build, is this one here is the MSI Gaming GeForce RTX 27 Super, which is a fantastic card at $519.99. For memory, we have the Crucial Ballistics 3600 megahertz DDR4 kit here, two 8 gigabyte sticks for $92.99. I just wanted to note that we just did a recent article, and there's been a lot done on this with regards to the best RAM speed for gaming with the Ryzen 3000 series CPUs. And this is the highest performing straight out of the box. If you just plug in a 3600 megahertz or DDR4 3600, you'll be able. That's where you'll get the most performance. So if you do scale above that, there are some things you can do in order to get more performance, but this is pretty much plug and play, the best performance you can get in terms of the speed. Not that you won't get similar speeds with slightly lower speeds and stuff like that, but if you want to maximize speeds, this is where we're at. All right, I digress. The storage we have is the Western Digital Black 1TB NVMe SSD at $139.99. And the power supply we have here is the Thermaltake Tough Power GF1 750 watts gold rated power supply at $129.99. I usually recommend the EVGA Supernova 750p2 in terms of price and efficiency. However, it's been just not existent in terms of supply levels in the last little while. But if you can find it, it's platinum rated, so highly efficient. But otherwise, this Thermaltake Tough Power will do just fine. The case we have is the NZXT H510 Elite. I think is a very slick looking case, very cool case. $149.99. And then this build in total comes just above $2 above our $1,500 budget, $1,502 for August 2020. Moving on to the next build. This is our $1,000 gaming PC build for August 2020. This uses the AMD Ryzen 5 3600X CPU, which is easily overclocked, and also comes with a stock cooler, the Wraith Spire cooler, which should do most people just fine for this build. Motherboard we have is the ASRock B550 Pro 4 at $114.99. This is one of the newer B550 boards. Graphics card we have is the XFX RX 5700 XT, $379.99. And then the memory we have is a Crucial Ballistics kit of 3200 megahertz at $73.99. That total of 16 gigabytes. And then the storage we have is a Crucial P1 500 gigabyte NVMe SSD, which is a great budget M2 SSD, M2 form factor SSD with regards to price to performance ratio. So at $79.74. Power supply, Thermaltake Tough Power. This is a 650 watt version, gold rated power supply at $109.99. And then we have the case is the Fantex Eclipse P400. It comes in different colors, black with a green lighting, etc., or it has RGB lighting, sorry, but there's a black version as well. This is the white version at $79.99, and this build comes out at just over $1,000 this month at $1,049. For the $700 gaming PC build of the month for August 2020. This one is powered by the Ryzen 5 3600 CPU, and then the GTX 1660 Super graphics card. So the CPU we have here, the AMD Ryzen 5 3600 at $159.99, again comes with its own cooler, the RAS Stealth cooler. The motherboard we have is the ASRock B550M. This is the micro ATX, so the smaller form factor board. It's a smaller board, and really all you need for this kind of range of a budget, $79.99. The graphics card we have is the MSI GeForce GTX 1660 Super at $249.84. Memory we have is Crucial Ballistics 2400 megahertz DDR4 kit of 8GB kit of RAM at $34.99. Storage we have is Crucial P1 500GB SSD NVMe SSD at $59.99. The power supply Thermaltake Smart 500 power supply for $44.99. In this case, I quite like this case for a budget micro ATX case because it actually looks quite good for the cost. It looks kind of higher value than you're actually paying for it. It has ARGB lighting in it. It has pretty good cooling. So for $59.99, the Cooler Master Box MB320L is, I would say, a great case for this build. And so this build comes out at under $700 at $696 right now. Now to the final build, the $500 gaming PC build of the month for August 2020. This build's kind of that, I would quote unquote, call it the console killer. I know there's newer consoles coming out sometime soon here, but this really is that for $500 you can play any game out there. You might need to scale the games back a little bit at 1080p, but that's fine. But also play other games maxed out. It's kind of one of those things, and it also is has room for upgrades if you want in the future and stuff like that. But this is really for $500 a gaming PC build, not too shabby. So we have the AMD Ryzen 5 2600 CPU, comes with a cooler, Wraith Stealth cooler as well. A motherboard Asus Prime B450M micro ATX board, so also a smaller form factor board at $72.99. The graphics card is a Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1650 Super at $161.99. Memory is an 8GB kit, a 2400 megahertz Crucial Ballistics at $34.99. The storage for this one is a SATA SSD, so a Kingston 240GB SSD at $34.56. You can easily bump that up to a 500GB for not much more. I forget the exact pricing, but it's not much more if you can afford it. Power supply is the Thermaltake Smart 500 watt at $50.99, and then the PC case is a micro, so it's a small case. It's a micro ATX case, which is perfect because it'll fit everything just fine. That's included here, the Thermaltake Versa H17 at $49.99. So for a small, I think it's a very slick looking case. It's very minimalistic. It kind of has that aluminum brushing on all the sides. So nothing too flashy, but it does look kind of sophisticated and sleek. So I like it. At $500, and this build comes out to $551. So $1 over our budget here, or sorry, $1, $51 over. But that is not to say that you can't minimize that if you can find sales or things like that. But I know we're over the 500 mark, but there's very few places that you can skim on costs here. Do mind you that you might be able to get a cheaper GTX 1650 Super or perhaps another micro ATX case that's on sale. But these prices might go down a little bit over the month, but just over $500, we have our $500 gaming PC build of the month for August 2020. If you have any questions, visit the site noobcomputerbuild.com. There's more details within this article. There's also hardware alternatives and upgrades for all of these builds. Otherwise, leave a comment in the comment section below, and subscribe if you want to keep up to date. And until next month, happy building.